upon which we now build. We are thankful for our parliamentary democracy that we enjoy as a nation, and for godly leaders who have recognized the admonition of Psalm 127:1, which declares, "Except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that built it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh in vain." Eternal Father, we ask therefore for your continued guidance and blessing on Patrick, our Governor General, the representative of Her Majesty, our Sovereign Queen, on Andrew, our Prime Minister, on Mark, Leader of the Parliamentary Opposition, and the other members of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and the people of Jamaica. Bestow your blessing on the President and people of the Republic of Namibia, on their natural resources, their agricultural initiatives, and their industries. Gracious God, we are grateful for the ways in which you have provided opportunities for us as a nation to play our part in shaping and strengthening relations and partnership with other countries of the world over the past 60 years. Therefore, may this time of the joint sitting of the Houses of Parliament strengthen the ties between the peoples of Jamaica and the Republic of Namibia as our two nations commit to working together for the flourishing of humanity and the nations of the world. May the memory of today's sitting linger long in our hearts, inspiring us to reignite our respective national resolve to strive for greatness. Help us to continue working so that our nations will be marked by peace, mercy, love, and justice. All these we ask in your great and holy name. Amen.
Be seated, please. This meeting of the Honourable Senate of Jamaica, being a joint sitting of the Senate and House of Representatives, commemorating the 60th anniversary of this Jamaica's independence, for Friday, 5th day of August, 2022, is called to order. And before proceeding on the business of the day, I recognize learned President of the Court of Appeal, learned Chief Justice, and the learned Director of Public Prosecutions, who have joined us. Other distinguished guests will be recognized in due course.
Mr. President, your permission to speak from a seat not usually my own. Mr. President, I wish to move the following. Be it resolved that the standing orders of this Senate be suspended to permit the Senate to invite the honourable members of the House of Representatives to sit jointly with the members of the Senate to receive an address by His Excellency, the Governor General, in commemoration of the 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence.
Members would have heard the question. Those in favour? Against? Madam Clerk. Mr. Bowling, the standing orders require standard
See, understand immediately why I'm happy to leave you. Them alright?
His Excellency, the Most Honourable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General of Jamaica, and the Most Excellent Lady Allen, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, Mr. Mark Golding, Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, Speaker of the House of Representatives, members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, Learned President of the Court of Appeal, Learned Chief Justice, Learned Director of Public Prosecutions, the Honourable E. David Burt, Premier of Bermuda, and his delegation, including Senator Owen Darrell, the Honourable Christine Hoybes, Minister in the Presidency of the Republic of Namibia, the Honourable Dr. Morangi, Minister of Higher Education and Training of the Republic of Namibia, members of the Diplomatic Corps, and distinguished guests. It is my distinct pleasure this afternoon to welcome you to this joint sitting commemorating the 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence. I would like to give a special welcome to the members of the delegation representing the Presidency of the Republic of Namibia. And I ask members to welcome them in our meeting. And of course, I ask you to recognize as well the Premier of Bermuda. It is a pleasure to have both a delegation from Bermuda and the Namibian delegation with us as we prepare to mark 32 years of diplomatic relations between Jamaica and Namibia. With respect to our 60th celebrations, to my profound shock, I remember the excitement I felt when I saw Jamaica's flag fly for the first time at the National Stadium in August 1962. And I say shock because I suspect that many of you do not believe that I was at that event. I had, however, attended all the independence activities with my uncle, David Clement Tavares, who was then the Minister of Housing, and who dragged me along, if you will, to every one of the events that he was required to attend. The flag-raising ceremony was a culmination of those activities and the physical manifestation of Jamaica's desire for nationhood. Jamaica has accomplished much over the past 60 years. However, I'm of the view that we as a people have the capacity to underestimate and to underrate the progress we have made. We now have a literacy rate of over 91%. In '63, that figure was 40%. The quality of our housing stock has improved significantly, and in those days, many persons continue to live in Wattle and Daub, only photographs we see of such living conditions nowadays. Childhood diseases were rampant, and in the time of independence, to a large extent, we have put those issues behind us. I ask you to contemplate briefly the fact that we have an independent and highly competent and respected judiciary. I had occasion today to attend with the learned speaker the 60th anniversary of the Court of Appeal celebrated in their new chambers on King Street. And it was pointed out to us that, in fact, the court was established one day before the independence of the nation for constitutional means. But we have a highly competent and independent judicial system. We have a legal system that is the envy of many. In fact, the learned director of public prosecutions will tell you that her officers serve all over the Caribbean. Press freedom in Jamaica is understood. We hardly even have to make mention of it. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica runs an electoral system and provides personnel to assist throughout the world, not only in Commonwealth countries. We have a military, professional, highly competent, and a police security system which is undergoing rapid improvement. We have a trade union movement that has never got in the way of our national development. On the contrary, our trade union movement has been a vehicle of development. We have a vibrant private sector, and I highlight these few aspects of our national development because I think that as a people we have the capacity to be extremely hard on ourselves. And I wish at this time to really ask Jamaica to look at what we have accomplished. And if you look, I'm going to put this away and speak for a while longer. If you look at the old historical photographs from the turn of the century, and even from our independence time, you will see the progress we have made. We need to embrace it. We need to be proud of it. And it would be remiss of me to say that we have the largest gallery, public gallery, in the English-speaking Caribbean, to which you are all invited at any time you wish to attend. In closing, I would just like to say thank you to the Minister of Culture, the Honourable Babsy Grange. Thank you to her team that has awoken the spirit of celebration, the spirit of independence in our people. And if I can quote the young man that I buy porridge from on a regular basis, this independence, nice man. Thank you.
His Excellency, the Most Honourable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General, and the Most Honourable Lady Allen, the Honourable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Mark Golding, Leader of the Opposition, Senator the Honourable Thomas Tavares Finson, President of the Senate, our learned President of the Court of Appeal, Mr. Patrick Brooks, and our Chief Justice, Mr. Brian Sykes, fellow parliamentarians, the Honourable E. David Burt, Premier of Bermuda, and his wife, who has joined him and is in the gallery, and the Senator Owen Darrell, who is also with him. Honourable Christine Hoybes, Minister in the Presidency of the Republic of Namibia, Honourable Dr. Ita Kanji Murangi, Minister of Higher Education and Training of the Republic of Namibia, and other members of the delegation from the Republic of Namibia, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests. I am honored to address this joint sitting of the 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence. We have much to celebrate during this Diamond Jubilee. For while as a nation we have faced many challenges and have had setbacks, we have also garnered significant achievements of which we should be all proud. Stable governance structures, infrastructural development, expansion of educational opportunities for the people of Jamaica, economic development in traditional and non-traditional arenas, sports development, just to name a few of our achievements. As many of you know, the theme for the 60th anniversary celebrations is Reigniting a Nation for Greatness. And we are a great nation. What makes us great is not our flora or fauna or our mountainscapes or even our beautiful beaches, beautiful though they all be. What makes us great is our people. Strong people, resilient and innovative people. As a parliament, we have enacted a plethora of legislation to provide support and protection that our people need to thrive in a modern society. The Sexual Harassment, Protection and Prevention Act and the Trafficking in Persons Act, Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Act, for example, provide protection to the most vulnerable in our society. The Trademark Amendment Act has increased the ease with which Jamaicans can protect their intellectual property within Jamaica and in other jurisdictions across the globe at a time when the world has recognized the value of creative industries. We continue to represent our people to the very best of our abilities as they confront the challenges of a rapidly changing world. And we, as a legislature, will continue to work for the good of all Jamaican people. In spite of our successes, however, we are facing a growing crisis of disregard for the lives of our own brothers and sisters. We have strayed from the ideals we crafted for ourselves some 60 years ago, and we now need to recapture the hopes and aspirations of our founding fathers expressed in our national anthem and our national pledge. Our anthem is a prayer, asking God to be the guiding force in the life of our nation, to endow us with wisdom and knowledge, and to be our guardian and defender. Our anthem speaks to respecting others, cherishing the weak, and upholding justice and truth. In our national pledge, we promise to place ourselves, our love, our loyalty, our strength, and our vigor to each other's service. When we look around our society today, it is evident that some of us have lost sight of these values. More of us seem to espouse ideals that are foreign to our national psyche. Even so, more and more of us are putting self above all else and have lost sight of the inherent dignity of our Jamaican brothers and sisters. But it is not too late. Our theme reminds us that this Diamond Jubilee is an appropriate juncture for us all as Jamaicans to take stock of our successes and of our failures, and to adjust our thoughts and actions in order to reignite the greatness within us. We need, as a nation, to turn back to God, to the faith of our fathers. We need to cherish and protect all Jamaicans, our men, our women, and our children. We need to remember the importance of the family as a basic building block of our society. We need to bring back the love, to stand up for justice and peace, and make Jamaica, land we love, more than just a line in our anthem, but a way of life for us all. I thank you. Prime Minister. His Excellency. Prime Minister. Prime Minister.
His Excellency. His Excellency, the Most Honourable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor-General of Jamaica, and Lady Allen, Senator the Honourable Tom Tavares Finson, President of the Senate, the Honourable Marissa Dalrymple Filbert, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Honourable Justice Brian Sykes, Chief Justice of Jamaica, the Honourable Mr. Justice Patrick Brooks, President of the Court of Appeal of Jamaica, the learned Paula Llewellyn, Director of Public Prosecutions, all parliamentarians, the Premier of Bermuda, the Honourable David Burt, the Honourable Christine Hobes, Minister in the Presidency of the Republic of Namibia, and other members of your delegation, Excellencies of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely honored to address this sitting of the Senate and the House of Representatives in our Diamond Jubilee. And I am very pleased to have the distinguished presence of our guests from Namibia and Bermuda. A warm Jamaican welcome to the joint sitting of the Senate and the House of Representatives. Speaking to Namibia, a country which I visited, and I have a very special relationship with President Geingob, and I understand the issues that they face. Indeed, we face the same issues in Jamaica, so I quite understand him not being here. But I have been in communication, and he has expressed that at the next best opportunity, he will be with us. Namibia, of course, a country that understands struggle, like Jamaica, and a country with whom we stood in solidarity when you struggled to be liberated. Governor General, parliamentarians, honored guests, this occasion is historic and momentous, as it provides the opportunity to reflect on how far we have come and the journey that still lies ahead. The government has been deliberate and measured in the conduct of activities in marking this milestone, bearing in mind the prevailing global context and dislocation of a pandemic and other emerging health threats of concern, war, and emerging geopolitical concerns that could be globally disruptive, inflation of food and fuel, and signs of a global economic recession. And simply, just the difficult economic times many Jamaican households are now experiencing locally as a result of these external shocks. We have balanced, therefore, celebration with cerebration, merriment with meaningfulness, and festivity with frugality. As said before, we have much to celebrate and be proud. From the outset, Jamaica has maintained a very visible global presence that predates its birth as an independent nation. Throughout the years, Jamaica has been at the forefront of international human rights diplomacy and played a seminal role in the creation of the post-1945 contemporary international human rights regime. Barely a year after becoming a member of the United Nations, at the 1963 General Assembly, Senator Hugh Shearer, speaking in place of Sir Alexander Bustamante, proposed that 1968 be designated the International Year of Human Rights to mark the 20th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Jamaica was at the forefront of the international campaign against apartheid. Jamaica was the first country to declare a trade embargo against South Africa. We played a crucial role in pressing the international community to limit foreign trade and investment in South Africa, which, coupled with the internal struggles of black South Africans, would eventually lead to the dismantling of apartheid. Jamaica has been at the forefront of other major initiatives, including the negotiation and adoption of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. the Montego Bay Convention, which this year is being celebrated for its 40 years of existence, the promotion of the rights of women and children, the work to end racial discrimination in pursuit of justice and equity, and the mounting of the United Nations, of a permanent memorial for victims of the transatlantic slave trade. All of these shows Jamaica's strength and presence on the international stage. Jamaica has served on the United Nations Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, and countless expert United Nations bodies over the years, and we have chaired the Group of 77. We have taken the same spirit of determination and dedication to the UN specialized agencies, the World Trade Organization, the Commonwealth, and the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States. Regionally, we have also performed with distinction and worked with our fellow CARICOM colleagues, as well as our friends in the wider Latin American region, including the OAS and the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, to build a formidable partnership to advance issues of mutual concern. Today, Jamaica is a respected voice on the issues of climate change and is the reference case for a country exemplifying sustainable fiscal management. While our performance in international affairs has been nothing short of exemplary, our record of performance at home has been mixed. We have achieved much. However, there is always a sense that we could have achieved much more. Professor Orlando Pattison described Jamaica in his book as the confounding island. How is it that we have the fastest people in the world, but we are so slow at implementation and business? As I said, celebration, cerebration. We have one of the freest press in the world. We have a very liberal and robust democracy and open society. Incredible racial and social harmony. Yet, we have so much violence. Nevertheless, we can show that we have used our political freedom and sovereignty in meaningful ways which have further consolidated our nationhood. We have a well-developed political system with a strong political class and a participatory civil society. We can hail the institution of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica as an example of the political and civil class achieving consensus to overcome a major existential challenge, that of political violence, which was at the level that it was a threat to our peace and democracy. Today we have overcome that threat. We have. We have used our freedom, this body here representing the political class and our civil society, and we have overcome that threat. Elections today are peaceful and seamless, even if it is just one seat that separates.
Absolutely.
Many countries struggle, including large countries, more developed countries than us. So we should feel, Mark, if I may address you on parliamentary, forgive me, Speaker, President of the Senate, Excellency, but in a moment of showing the collegial nature of our political class. We can be proud of that. would wish to make another example that may not find favor with all Jamaicans, but it is an example that stands on its own merit. State violence through our security forces, and in particular extrajudicial killings 20 years ago, seemed to be an intractable problem. And indeed, for many, it seemed to be part of the routine accepted in crime control. Normalized. This parliament, and I was a part of that parliament, passed the Indicom Act. Another example of the political and civil class, because there was significant civil energy brought to bear to get the parliament to that point. So, another example and the result, obviously, is there has been a decline in extrajudicial killings and the use of violence by state forces. But, you know, this is an example, another example of the political and civil class creating an institution that effectively functions to ensure that our democracy prevents, deters, and strongly controls the use of state violence. And where it is used, there is a transparent process of investigation and review. I've just given two examples, and I'm sure as we celebrate on our independence, you will see that there are other institutions that we have created that have improved the well-being of our citizens. But even before our well-developed political system emerged, our sportsmen and women have been making us proud. Our culture, thought, and music have influenced the world through Rastafari, Garveyism, and Bob Marley. Unquestionably, Jamaicans have excelled and continue to make invaluable contributions to nation building at home and within the diaspora. Brand Jamaica is strong globally, and for that we are thankful and proud. Where we have struggled, though, is to develop an economy that supports and sustains our social development ambitions while withstanding shocks. We are now on our the confounding island. Where we have struggled is to develop an economy that supports and sustains our social development ambitions while withstanding shocks. May I project? Third.
This one is new parliament. Talk about taking a fly.
Norman Manley realized this when he made a presentation. I believe it would have been to one of your party conferences, where he pointed out that Jamaica has achieved our political independence. We now need to focus on achieving our economic independence. And there could not be a more profound statement and direction to the generations that followed Now, this is where the effort and focus needs to be. Our political class has demonstrated that it can come up with the policies to address the social issues, that it can build the institutions, but we have just not seemed to have settled the economic policies. However, we are now on our journey to consolidate our economic independence. And as I have said repeatedly, this is a priority for my administration. For decades, we have made political decisions that are inconsistent with sound economic thinking, which have had detrimental social and economic consequences. Certainly, external events like natural disasters, global recessions, and wars have created serious challenges. But we must admit that some of these crises have been of our own making. For example, allowing inefficient state entities to continue to operate without immediate intervention, resulting in the accumulation of debt. You want to call others? Our own making. The political class did not move fast enough to address these issues. I mean, I could say FinSac. Yeah, we could do that, yeah. The most outstanding achievement of our nation in the last decade would be the political consensus around sustainable fiscal management and debt reduction. This achievement started in 2010 with the Fiscal Responsibility Framework. It was enshrined in law with the Fiscal Rule Amendments in 2014 to the FAA and PBMA Acts. In 2021, this administration went one step further to strengthen our sustainable fiscal management by passing legislation to create another institution, the Independent Fiscal Commission, which will complement the passage of legislation to create an independent central bank. Yes, along with it. This institution will effectively insulate our fiscal management from the vagaries of exploitative and opportunistic political forces who would want to go off on a spending frolic without regard to the effects of high debt. I didn't say anything like that. I know and understand that many of our citizens at the moment may not immediately feel or appreciate the benefit of sustainable fiscal management. However, the economic buffers that were established as a result of good fiscal management have enabled us to withstand the back-to-back global shocks caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in the Ukraine. Having worked so hard across political administrations to build this consensus on sustainable fiscal management, we must strongly and resolutely resist any temptation to reverse course. Instead, in our 60th year of political independence, we must be determined to complete our journey to full independence by achieving economic. When the next generation looks back at this time, decades from now, let them say that this was the point that Jamaica achieved a significant milestone in our development and a turning point in our economy. Already we are seeing the resilience of our economy. Unemployment is at the lowest level in our history, and investment in infrastructure While we are making great strides in the management of our economy, we have work to do in other areas. I know that many Jamaicans at home and abroad are deeply disturbed by the high levels of violence and disorder in our society and the aggressive manner we sometimes treat each other. In 1962, no one could have imagined the level of access to weapons, the rampant use of violence when settling disputes between each other. No one could have imagined the level of narcotic trafficking and human trafficking, scamming, cyber crimes, and the growth of criminal gangs at enterprise scale. Nevertheless, these problems did not emerge only in the last decade. They have been present and growing significantly in the last 30 years. The truth is that our society has changed and is changing much faster than the legislative framework necessary to preserve social order. As I pointed out earlier, our political and civil class has come together during the course of our independence to address existential threats to our society and economy by creating strong institutions, each adding to the strength of the state and the nation. We note again, for example, the Electoral Commission to address the electoral system and political violence. We note again INDECOM to address violence and extrajudicial actions by state forces. In 2019, this administration empaneled the National Commission on Violence Prevention to review the current legislative, institutional, and programmatic landscape and advise the government on a comprehensive and streamlined approach to dealing with this disease of violence which has infected our society at epidemic scale. While we await the Commission's report, and in parallel, my administration has already begun to create the legislative framework to address violence and public disorder. For example, the new Road Traffic Act regulations will be passed and coming to effect this year. This will go a far way in bringing order to our roads. There will be a new scheme for effectively dealing with the proliferation, trade, and use of firearms. That was, well, will be tabled. It's tabled. Well, is now tabled in the House and will be soon debated and passed this year. This will change the risk-reward factor, significantly increasing the penalty for possession and use of firearms. There will be a new Bail Act and an Enhanced Security Measures Act, along with a revised Zones of Special Operations Act. The Offences Against the Persons Act, the Sexual Offences Act will be reviewed. All these taken together will create a robust and modern framework relevant to the issues at hand to secure our social order. When this period is reflected on decades from now, it will be acknowledged as the turning point in Jamaica's development towards a more peaceful and less violent society. Education is the most critical driver of the behavioral change we need. Transforming our society means transforming the mindset of our people, and the education system is integral to this. We received the report of the Education Transformation Commission, and an oversight committee has been put in place to support the Ministry of Education and Youth in developing a detailed plan for implementation of the Commission's recommendations, as well as to monitor and report to the public on achievements of targets relative to the plan. Another significant challenge that we are focusing on is the eternal struggle for land and shelter ownership. This administration has committed to creating 70,000 new housing solutions for first-time This morning, I had the occasion to do an interview. And upon exiting the studio, I was met by someone who worked at the studio. And her question to me was, Prime Minister, I have made my NHD contributions. I've gone to apply for a house, and I can't be successful. I've never been successful. There is a sense of injustice and inequity in housing in Jamaica. And I wish the people of Jamaica to know that the government understands this. We acknowledge it on both sides. It is not a political problem. It is an economic problem. The truth is that the NHD has, in the last 7 years, more than doubled the number of housing units that it has put on the market. It has significantly increased the number of mortgages. We have made interest rates at the level of 0% for low income. But the problem is, as the Minister of Finance always points out, we have a supply side problem. We don't have the contractors, the systems in place to produce housing units at the price point that people need. So we have redirected the NHD to focus almost exclusively on that. So, Madam Speaker, already the NHD has committed to build 43,000 housing solutions. The vast majority of them will be affordable or low-income earners. They have, Madam Speaker, done an amazing job. They have already, out of that 43, delivered just over 6,000 housing units. Together between the NHD, the HAJ, the social housing program, and what we're doing in the Bernard Lodge development area, we are very close to having 10,000 units already delivered out of that. So, as we celebrate our independence, for the average Jamaican, the biggest sign, the most effective symbol of their independence is to say, I push my own key in my own door. I wish my Jamaican brothers and sisters to know that the government stands in solidarity with your concerns. We are working very hard. It is not a problem that can be solved overnight, but Michael Manley created the institution of the NHD out of the NIS. Out of the NIS. Funding came out of the NIS. Right? No revisionist. It is always, remember we have guests. So
it started out of the NIS.
So,
well, don't deny it.
As I said,
We need to start.
and that is why.
Just mention my colleague. Mercy.
In our 60th year, we have embarked on a number of signature infrastructure projects that will create a lasting legacy for the next 60 years and beyond. I reflected, members, on our last celebration marking the end of a decade. And I reflected upon the legacies that we can count from that celebration. And I committed to myself that when we come to recall the 60th, we must recall it not only by the merriment of the celebrations, but by the markers, the milestones, the institutions, the edifices that we leave for future generations. So, Madam Speaker, we recently broke ground for the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project, which, along with the improvements to the Donald Sangster International Airport, will be a lasting legacy for the northwestern parishes of the island. We have started work on the Morant Bay Urban Centre, which, along with the South Coast Road Improvement Project, will leave a lasting legacy to the people of the eastern parishes. This year, we will break ground on the Resilience Park in Portmore as we prepare Portmore to become our 15th parish. We will also break ground for our Parliament building this year as an iconic symbol of our sovereignty for generations to come. We are on track with the development of our national broadband backbone to ensure that Jamaica will have the best telecommunications infrastructure in the region. We are on track with rolling out the largest infrastructure investment in hospital facilities. In the last 50 years, I saw Minister Tufton looking at the model of the hospital or the facility that will be opened in Portmore, I believe
Spanish Town.
Spanish Town.
Spanish Town.
We have undertaken a comprehensive review of our public sanitation, garbage collection, and waste disposal system. And I know that, this has been a perennial problem for Jamaicans. We now have a plan which will see greater private sector participation in waste collection, the introduction of waste to energy conversion, the commissioning of new and properly built disposal sites, and the decommissioning of various dumps, including the Riverton City dump. By September, I will be having discussions with the Member of Parliament for Western St. Andrew to fully brief him on the plans and to secure his support for the plans, because it is, just to be clear, this is something that the political class will have to work together on. It is not a simple matter of saying we are closing down Riverton City. People depend on it for their economic survival. People live around it. So there has to be a process. Jamaica is the land of wood and water. I acknowledge the sentiments among many Jamaicans that we have not been exceptional in the protection of our wood and water, our environment. Nevertheless, it is important to state that we have created institutions to act in protection of our environment while promoting sustainable development, NEPA and the NRCA. This administration has protected the cockpit country. I was in Black River announcing that the Black River morass is now a protected area. And I indicated that very soon, possibly after the celebrations when Cabinet resumes, the Cabinet will give approval for the protection of the Pedro banks as another protected area. This would mean that we are probably now very close to 25% of Jamaica being protected. This administration, in our 60th year, is showing that we must be serious about protecting our environment. It is unfortunate that during our period of celebration, there was an incident that threatened the environment, our wood and water, and the livelihood of those who depend on the Rio Cobre River. The Environmental Protection Institution, NEPA, has briefed me and other members of the government on the event, and they have also briefed me on the steps that they will take to ensure that such a devastating breach does not happen again. There is the posting of an environmental bond, and at the time of my speaking, they probably would have already had their press conference and announced their intention to prosecute and to call the bond. That is a symbol, a sign of their intention to be far more aggressive and forward-leaning in their surveillance and in their prosecution and protection of our natural assets. Jamaica will continue to play its part in the advancement of the whole human race. We will continue to build our foreign policy and our diplomacy with like-minded countries everywhere, particularly with our friends in Africa, for greater cooperation. We will continue the struggle for our economic independence. We will continue to strive for brotherhood, justice, and peace. As we strive to advance these objectives, we are determined to do so in such a way that no Jamaican is left behind. We are determined to do so in such a way that every Jamaican can feel included, can feel a part of the Jamaican dream. Whatever dream you may want to achieve in your self-actualization. In this 60th year of independence, let us acknowledge that we are a great nation with great accomplishments and many more great things to achieve. Let us reignite our nation for greatness. God bless you.
Well done, Prime Minister.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golden.
Your Excellency, Most Honourable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General, and Most Honourable Lady Allen, Prime Minister, Senator Tom Tavares Vinson, President of the Senate, Honourable Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, Speaker of the House, members of the Senate, members of the House, our visitors, the Premier from Bermuda, and the Honourable Minister in the Presidency of the Republic of Namibia, and your teams, distinguished members of the Diplomatic Corps who are here, our Chief Justice is here, I believe, and our President of the Court of Appeal, and our Director of Public Prosecutions, and of course all the ladies and gentlemen in the gallery. Welcome to this parliamentary celebration of our 60th anniversary in this our Jubilee year. The program has us down as giving brief remarks, and I will be loyal to that injunction. Yes, I didn't realize this was a budget presentation. I want to associate myself with many of the remarks that have been made by the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House in their brief remarks on some of the achievements since independence. I think they're absolutely right that in Jamaica we tend to mark ourselves very, very hard and are often scathing of our own accomplishments. But when you look at it objectively, we have indeed achieved a great deal, a tremendous amount over the 60 years. Having said that, our challenges are also very great, which is part of the confounding nature of our country, of which Professor Orlando Patterson wrote in his book. As one of the first colonies to gain independence in the New World, and the first in the English-speaking Caribbean, Jamaica remains a small but mighty nation. Mighty nation. 60 years in the life of every nation is a fairly short period of time, but we have already been impacting the world in immeasurable ways. Indeed, Jamaica has achieved tremendous success in many, many fields of endeavor. For example, many manifestations of our culture, be it our music, dance, cuisine, language, expressions and imagery, are rated, embraced, and even copied across the globe. Our most famous musical luminaries, in particular, have become icons of the reggae and dancehall genres which we originated in this small island, whose messages of justice and hope have inspired peoples from across the world facing oppression in their struggles for freedom. Over 40 years since he departed this life, Bob Marley's music, image, and message of positive liberty for all mankind continue to grow across the world. And in my opinion, it is high time that we recognize this by affording him the status of a national hero. Our prowess in sports, and in particular track and field, is legendary, vastly outperforming the size and population of this small island state. None of us has any doubt that the 22nd Commonwealth Games now in progress in Birmingham, England, and the Under-20 World Championships in Cali, Colombia, will see our black, green, and gold flag continuing to fly high and hear our national anthem rippling and echoing across the state. In academia, in commerce, in science and the professions, Jamaicans are having a notable and positive impact wherever we go. Jamaican workers are respected around the world for their productivity, work ethic, and high standards of service wherever they are treated fairly and with dignity at the workplace. So, in our Jubilee year, it is a time to celebrate Jamaica's tremendous achievements. We have so much to be proud of and thankful for as we celebrate. Since 1962, Jamaica has remained a constitutional democracy governed by the rule of law, and we choose our governments by democratic elections, and we accept the will of the people. We enjoy freedom of expression, freedom of the press, an area in which we rank amongst the highest in the world. We have built important institutions to strengthen our governance systems, and we need to make them work for all our people. And so that we can build confidence in our democratic way of life. And the Prime Minister mentioned Indicom as an example, and I think it's a good example because it shows both what we can achieve and how we fall short. There was a review of the Indicom Act, a statutory review, went into it in detail with numerous recommendations, which was finalized in 2015. We need to implement those recommendations and strengthen that institution. In international diplomacy and politics, Jamaica has made its mark by standing up for principle, even at times when we are under pressure to do otherwise. Jamaica has been respected for our adherence to the principles of non-alignment, non-interference, self-determination, the rule of international law, and the pursuit of equity and justice among nations. These principles are the foundations of our nation's democracy, and we depart from them to our detriment. As we revel in our many achievements in celebrating 60 years as an independent nation, we should not allow Jamaica 60 to go without reflecting on the future of our country and what it will take to overcome the adversities and challenges which confront us in our daily lives. Our path to independence was charted by the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors, many of whom suffered and died to secure the rights that we enjoy as citizens today. The struggle, sacrifices, and immense resilience of the Jamaican people are embodied in our national heroes, who are a constant inspiration to us all. We must not forget their sacrifice. We must never take our constitutional rights, responsibilities, and democratic freedoms for granted. We must continue to strengthen and improve the systems and institutions which ensure the rights, responsibilities, and freedoms of our people, and that promote transparency, integrity, and accountability in all areas of governance. Lest we forget, our journey to full political independence is still incomplete.
That's right.
Our head of state is not a Jamaican and has never lived here. Our final court of appeal remains a vestige of colonial rule, sitting in London thousands of miles away, and a majority of our people have no practical means of accessing justice there. After 60 years of standing on our own, there are a few out there who still believe that we are not ready to complete the circle of our political independence. It is time to cast aside such negative self-doubt. Jamaica 60 is an opportunity for us to come together and recommit to full political independence by removing the last vestiges of past colonial rule. So let us come together to achieve these outstanding and fundamental elements of our national independence. Further procrastination is an affront to our nationhood and our sense of self. Let us demonstrate once again in this era that the spirit of nation building, which led our forefathers and mothers to fight for our freedoms and lay the foundations for our independence, are still alive and well and capable of leading us forward. Mr. Prime Minister, the time is now. I close by wishing my parliamentary colleagues, the Senate and the House, and all Jamaicans at home and abroad, and indeed our esteemed visitors who are here with us this afternoon, a happy Independence Day tomorrow when it comes. May God grant us foresight and fortitude as we continue on this national journey to reignite our nation's greatness. One love. My boys.
I'm going to ask the members of the House to remain seated while the Honourable Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition unveil a commemorative plaque which is located to my right. Speaker. Members of the Senate and House of Representatives, I now invite His Excellency, the Most Honourable Patrick Allen, ON, Governor General of Jamaica, to address the joint sitting of Parliament. Governor General.
Thank you. The Most Honourable Prime Minister, Sir Andrew Holness, Mr. Mark Golding, Leader of the Opposition, Senator the Honourable Thomas Tavares Finson, President of the Senate, the Honourable Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Honourable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, Chief Justice the Honourable Mr. Justice Patrick Brooks, President of the Court of Appeal, Ms. Paula Llewellyn, DPP, Honourable members of the Houses of Parliament, the Honourable E. David Burt, Premier of Bermuda, the Honourable Christine Oibes, Minister in the Presidency of the Republic of Namibia, and other members of her delegation, Your Excellencies and members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the pleasure is mine to address this joint sitting of the Senate and the House of Representatives in commemoration of the 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence. I'm particularly pleased that we are able to welcome Honourable David Burt, Premier of Bermuda, ministers and other representatives, of the Government of the Republic of Namibia, who are our guests for the independence celebrations. I ask that you convey to your President, His Excellency, Dr. Age Gaingob, our warmest wishes and best regards. Honourable members of Parliament, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this occasion allows for a collective reflection on our journey as an independent nation and on our consolidation as a sovereign state. Each decade since 1962 has been characterized by both progress and challenges, opportunities and change, all of which have allowed us to learn and to grow. We have matured from a nation eager to announce its arrival to the international community to one that has grown in confidence and determination to make a difference in global affairs through bilateral, regional, and multilateral arrangements. From the early years, we were able to introduce our music and our culture to the world, displaying since then the range of artistic creativity that so naturally abides within our people. We tapped into new sectors and industries in our continuing quest to solidify our economic growth and to build a just and inclusive society. Along the way, we have been challenged to redouble efforts to secure political unity and togetherness. Despite what appeared to have been a daunting task, we persevered and remained resolute. To our credit, we now have an enviable record when it comes to upholding democratic rights, freedoms, and principles. Undoubtedly, we have matured in our ability to exercise our individual right to vote, to freely participate in the electoral process, and to do so in a manner that respects each other's right to choice. Honourable members, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we also count among our accomplishments action taken within the multilateral framework to promote Jamaica's national interests and support other developing countries through membership in many regional and international organizations. The strengthening of the relations with our bilateral partners and our advocacy to achieve sustainable development for all. We have been a driving force for Jamaica's diplomacy throughout our history. The Sustainable Development Goals remain a critical component of our pursuit. As the international community works towards the attainment of these goals by 2030, Jamaica can speak proudly about its convincing alignment of the goals with our bold Vision 30 National Development Plan. Since 2009, this plan has been at the center of our efforts to pursue a comprehensive, holistic approach to nation building. The celebration and promotion of our culture has become a centerpiece of our existence as together we worked to ensure that our identity as a people is preserved. The same vigor has contributed to our prowess in sport, which has also served to distinguish us, though and throughout our dedication, and also because of the commitment of our athletes. It is the same pride and joy that have motivated and guided Jamaicans at home and abroad to excellence in many spheres. In so doing, we have gained worldwide recognition as a people determined to build a future in which we can thrive and prosper. At the same time, we have maintained a national focus on building our human and institutional capacities, and we have made a conscious effort to fortify the policy and legislative frameworks to protect the rights of our citizens in a manner that ensures equality and justice. Our journey has had its challenges, as we have been beset by difficulties which have undermined our social and economic fabric. We continue, for example, to wrestle with intractable levels of crime and violence that have evaded efforts to ensure that we promote a society built on peace and harmony. My own, I believe, initiative was deliberately aimed at supporting this broader objective so that we can shape a vision and future that our young people can embrace. We also need to combine this with approaches to dispute resolution which inure us to respect life, property, and environment. It is worth highlighting our infrastructural development as a tangible evidence of how much we have progressed. As we look to the future, we know that this sector is poised for even greater advancement in keeping with our ambitions for the Logistic Hub Initiative, the establishment of special economic zones, and creating improved road networks. Honourable members, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the past 2 years have demonstrated that the global environment can be unpredictable. The COVID-19 pandemic has confirmed that we are significantly interconnected. This health crisis sparked even greater collaboration, especially among partners from the South, to forge stronger bonds of friendship and cooperation. It is this kind of friendship that we are able to buttress through our relationship and enduring bond with countries like Namibia as we work to strengthen our relationship with the African continent. Indeed, our ties to the motherland, though born out of one of the greatest human tragedies of all time, has been reinforced by our shared determination to work together as people of African descent. We know that we still have much to achieve as Jamaicans. This will require concerted and dedicated efforts on our part. Each individual will have to play his or her role in making this a reality. I therefore encourage every one of us to commit to this undertaking. It also means that we have to take clear, decisive actions that not only responds to the challenges of the day, but provides a framework for sustained action for future generations. I am convinced that this is possible, particularly with our friends like Namibia, for example. We are eager to take this partnership forward. I am also indefatigably committed to the view that we as a people can continue to achieve the promises of independent nationhood as we move towards the next 60 years and beyond. Mr. President, Madam Speaker, members of the Honourable Houses of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, and may God continue to bless Jamaica land we love.
Members will remain standing for the playing of the national anthem. After which, His Excellencies will take their leave. Members will be asked to remain in your seats. Thank you very much. Members, please remain standing as His Excellencies take their leave. Court of Appeal, Chief Justice, and Learned Director of Public Prosecutions take their leave. As the Senate resumes, members of the House may depart with some amount of order, and our guests may do so as well. Very briefly. Mr. Robertson, please leave us. This meeting of the Honourable Senate resumes its sittings. Minister Matthew Samuda, I think that you have something to request.
Well, Mr. President, it is not intended to do any further business today, so we ask for the adjournment of the meeting.
Thank you very much. The Senate now adjourns for a date to be fixed.
Don't miss the Jamaica 60 Independence Grand Gala, Saturday, August 6th, beginning at 6 p.m. inside the National Stadium. The pomp, the pageantry, the excitement, and the entertainment with some of our leading artists: Barrington Levy, TJ, Lolly, Glacia Robinson, Kukudu, Sister Pat, and many more. And for the very first time in Jamaica, a live 300 drone display across the night sky. The Jamaica 60 Independence Gala, Independence Day, reigniting a nation for greatness.